In this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about the state of education and millennial parenting coming up. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. I am Nate, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We try to our best to release new content every week. Now, have you ever heard yourself using the phrase, "Oh, these kids of today," and you're not even that old? Do you feel there's a disconnect between the way you have been raised and the way the kids are being raised today? And you weren't even a kid that long ago. Well, there are many people around the world feeling the exact same way you do. And people just have a general feeling of, well, hey, these kids aren't okay, man. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The kids aren't okay, and people are just fed up with the amount of disrespect that kids are showing lately. And so teachers all over the world, they're speaking out and they're going viral on the internet. Many people posting videos of their experiences at school with these disrespectful kids. And they're going viral because a lot of people are resonating with what they're saying. Kids are a lot more disrespectful than what they were when probably you were at school. So we're going to be taking a look at some of these videos and reacting to them.
I'm gonna just say this: I teach seventh grade. They are still performing on the fourth grade level.
Seventh grade English teacher here. I teach in northern Houston, and I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, that is very true. We find kids in high school who can't read properly. They can't write. They can't write one proper sentence without the help of a teacher. They don't know how to write a proper essay of 250 words. It's too much for them. So that is very true. I've experienced that myself. The literacy levels in these kids have gone way down over the years, in my opinion. I don't feel like this is the way it was when I was at school, but this is the state of education right now.
I have kids constantly asking me, how do I spell window? How do I spell important? How do I spell though? And
In
they
the
be serious.
seventh grade.
They're dead serious. I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4 paragraph story we just read.
And they don't even know that there's something wrong with that. They don't even know that this is not normal, right? They think that this is just how it's supposed to be because there's so many students who are struggling like that.
Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
Yeah. How to answer a question in a complete sentence. Just a simple sentence is tough for a lot of these kids. Like, guys, do you know how useless our society is going to be when kids cannot read or write or do basic math when they're older? It's terrible. All right, so the next video is another teacher who went viral on the internet, and she is also just fed up with the way kids are behaving these days. Take a look. A lot of teachers are actually quite fed up, and they're speaking out. And yeah, it's just resonating with people all over the world. I think a lot of these situations you can apply everywhere. In most countries, you can apply these situations because this is just the state of education right now. Let's take a listen.
I'm calling out all the parents. If you're a parent and your child is in pre-K to elementary school to high school, I'm calling you out. The children today, I have never experienced, and I'm 22.
She's 22.
Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life.
Yeah.
I teach 5-year-olds ballet. 5-year-old girls ballet. I have a class of 10 students. They don't respect any authority.
Now, imagine that. 5-year-old kids. You'd be like, oh, what? 5-year-old kids? Like, that's nothing. And then, oh, on top of that, I only have 10 students. And this is too much for her to handle. It's way too much for her to handle. These kids are disrespectful. You know, in a previous video, I spoke about education and getting into this, and you see so many young people getting into this profession, and they struggle because it's not what it used to be 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. And so I feel sorry for this teacher who has to deal with these with these students, 5-year-old kids who are just terribly behaved. And parents think that these kids will just magically, it's a phase they're going through, right? I've heard this before. It's a phase they're going through, and magically they will get over this phase, and they will become model students and model citizens who now all of a sudden respects their elders and listens in class and so on. And that is just not what happens if we do not, at a very young age, teach our kids how to behave. The first 7 years of a kid's life is so important. If you do not teach a kid, that character that child has developed will be ingrained in his brain for a very, very long time into adulthood.
You ask them, can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up. They're throwing things at each other. They're throwing things at other people, other classmates.
Yeah.
You say, can everybody sit in their spot? I don't want to. I'm not doing that. You don't get to tell me what to do. You're not my mom. You confront the parent. The parent tries to argue with you and fuss at you because you tried to reprimand and redirect their kid. I told a young little girl, please sit in your spot. You're not my mom. You don't tell me what to do. Okay.
And sad because the moms and dads, they don't even tell their kids what to do. Imagine a 5-year-old telling you, "Oh, you're not my mom. You don't tell me what to do." Like what? What do you say to that? What? How do you even respond to that? It is insane to think that you can send your kid to school with this behavior and think that the teacher just needs to deal with this.
When her mom came to pick her up, I said, hey, your daughter's having a hard time following instructions. And 7 times today, I've had to redirect her to just sit in her spot. Well, clearly she didn't want to sit. And mind you, this is a mom. Clearly she didn't want to sit right there. So, I mean, if she's telling you she don't want to do something, why keep asking her to do it? You know she's not going to do it. What world do we live in?
Yeah, that's true. Um, at I feel like many schools they've just become glorified, not kindergartens but daycares for these, because these parents they want to go out and they want to work, and for 8 hours of the day you're sitting with their kid, right? And you're just supposed to do whatever that child expects from you. You're supposed to listen to the child and what that child wants, what that child tells you to do. It's not the teacher telling the child anymore. These are my expectations. This is what my rules are in the classroom. Please, if you do not obey these rules, these are the consequences. We cannot have consequences. What do you mean? My child didn't want to sit there, so why keep asking him? We're literally just taking care of the kids until the parents come. These teachers are literally just taking care of the kids until the parents come and pick them up at the end of the day. Glorified daycares. This is what education has become. And you can't tell that child, you can't tell the parents anything, or they will snap at you.
Like, what in you guys' brain as a parent says, my kid not following any directions is a great thing. It's not that serious, and y'all don't have a right to tell her what to do. It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad. And another thing that's heart-wrenching is horrifying. It is horrifying. Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town
Who?
and Ski Yee. Your daughters, your 5-year-old daughters are asking, can we hear Pound Town? I'm playing them Princess Tiana ballet music.
Mm.
And they are asking me, can we hear Pound?
Yeah, I actually I feel so much for this young teacher. How can and those of you do not know the song Pound Town, and it's probably a good idea that you stay away from it. Um, I think you can just hear the implications of what that song is probably talking about. Parents allow kids to listen to anything, watch anything without supervision. That song, though, it's just so disgusting. It's utterly disgusting for a child to listen to that type of song. Oh no, the beat. I'm just listening to the beat. Well, your child is picking up those words, and very soon it will be part of that child's vocabulary. We have to be careful. We have to be careful what our kids consume. So the next videos we're going to be looking at is more to do with the kids' behavior at school. You know, a lot of people, a lot of parents don't believe that their kids behave the way their teachers are telling them that their kids are behaving. They think their kids are angels and sweethearts. But this is actually the reality of the situation at schools all around the world.
I am so over these students feeling like consequences are beyond them. I'm not understanding how when they do something, they don't understand the consequence for it. And I have never seen the level of disrespect I'm seeing right now in this group of kids this year. Like COVID is not to blame for that. And honestly, we have sat down in meetings where parents are crying. And who is to blame for this? Where are these kids getting this from? They're looking for school to be some type of party where they come to school, play around with their friends, and then at the last minute, oh, what can I do to get my grade up? You can listen the first time and you can do what somebody asks you to do. No pencils. Where's your materials? I don't got none. First of all, your grammar is wrong. Well, that's your job to give me a pencil. Like, the freak? And as soon as you write them up and show them the consequence of their action, oh, it's all hell breaking loose. I'm genuinely over it.
Yeah, it's so true. Kids, they don't have any consequences for their behavior. We literally just allow kids to go sit in a corner, or we allow kids to do whatever they want, or the parents are allowing kids to do whatever they want, and whatever they're doing, if even if it's something they if it's something they disagree with, there's literally no consequence. Like, oh, stop doing that. And kids don't learn that in the real world, when they do something, for every action there's a reaction, and they're gonna have to actually bear the consequences. They make choices, and then they're gonna have to actually bear the consequences of their choices. At school, we're trying to teach these kids these things, but they don't have any such concept. I don't know what's happening at home, but parents need to teach their kids that if you do this, this is what's going to happen. But for many of these kids, they don't even understand the concept of consequences. Whenever you tell them there are consequences to something, they will throw a tantrum and a massive fit.
Like, I'm at a point where I'm merciless. Like, areas where I showed mercy when it shouldn't have been, I'm done with that. Seriously. If it's not a kid who's trying, who I genuinely see has been trying and working hard throughout the year, we don't assign homework because we know they're not going to do it. We go through the classwork with them so they can get it complete. And yet and still, they still don't get it done. And here come parents in meetings. Oh, well, I wonder why a teacher didn't call me earlier. Why weren't you checking your child's grades earlier and you contact us? It's getting to a point where parents are saying in meetings, well, if they have to fail, let them fail. And that's what it's looking like for me too. Because bending over backwards to help somebody who really does not want to be helped but wants something handed to them. No, that is not how life operates. Want somebody to push them through the system. No, you're going to work for this. Just like the other kids had to work for it.
Yeah. Well, that is just the situation right now. In South Africa, we have this system where if you fail, you don't actually fail. So, for instance, if you failed once, in you can actually fail once in a phase. A phase would normally consist of 3 grades. So let's say, for instance, you fail once in grade 1, 2, or 3. Um, you cannot fail again. And so you can literally like fail one time and then do whatever you want to do for the next 2 years, and you will basically be passed on to the next level. That's just how it works. Um, Teachers don't fail kids anymore. The system is really, really messed up. It's rigged against you. So even within that, kids are not taught consequences. Um, I think it's also a general failure of our educational structures at this point. Um, Everything you do, whether it just be raising your voice, sometimes can be considered abuse to a child. And so there's literally it. I know I sound very pessimistic, but there's very little that you can do as a teacher at school. So yeah, I think those who are kind of just strong, they still just keep doing what they believe to be right and hope for the best. Um, and so yeah, our hands are kind of tied at 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 schools. So the next video is about a lady. So we're just talking about the disrespect of the disrespect that kids are showing, um, wherever they are. They just don't care. And so here's a lady that's going to tell us her story and her encounter with a child, and basically how parents are reacting to their child's behavior.
I need to ask millennials, why are your kids so awful? And more importantly, why do you think it's so funny? Your kids cannot read. They cannot write. They are ill-mannered.
Yeah.
And they're monsters. I was working my medical receptionist job the
Oh.
other day, and this woman walks in. You can tell she's a millennial. She's like 34. She has a yoga mat in one hand and her 4-year-old in the other. Her Satan spawn walked up to the
Oh.
counter, and I was like, "Hi." And there's a bunch of business cards just stacked up on the counter. It's a medical office, and the kid knocks them all over and starts mixing up all the different business cards on the floor of the office. I look
Yeah.
over at her mother, thinking she's gonna see this and be like, "Oh no, you can't do that."
Of course.
No, she looks up from her phone, looks at her daughter, and starts hysterically laughing and says, "Isn't she so cute?"
She's yeah. That's exactly right. Okay. Obviously, we can see that this the lady, she doesn't like kids at all. She calls them Satan's spawn and yeah, a few other things. Um, but she is totally right to expect that if a child is doing something crazy like that, uh, the mom is and the parent is there. It's not up to the her to actually tell the child, hey, you got to put that down and stop playing with this. It's the mother's responsibility to do that. And so naturally she would look over to the mother and like, oh, aren't you going to do something about this? And then many times the parents, they applaud this type of behavior. They laugh at their kids. They think their kids are so cute when they do these terrible things. Well, this is not the worst thing that could happen, but yeah, you don't do that.
Ma'am, I have to clean this later. If that were my kid, I would have yelled at it and then cleaned up the mess it made and then made it apologize to the receptionist. And I know millennials with children are going to hate this because they're the most self-righteous people on the planet, but maybe you should be less concerned about me and more concerned about the fact that your kid cannot read. When I was in second grade, I was getting assigned by my teachers at least 100 to 150 page books, me and my classmates. Your kid cannot read basic words or spell basic words, and you're cool with that. That is crazy to me. If you're not going to teach them how to read, that's fine. You know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. But at least please teach them some manners. And honestly, millennials, please gain some yourselves, because as someone who has had a lot of jobs in her day, serving you people is genuinely one of the most insufferable things I've ever had to do. Thank you.
Yeah. She's saying a lot of things that people just don't want to outright say. That's the truth. My wife wants to show me this very sad video, so let's take a look.
Don't raise up on me.
How about you sit
Don't
down?
raise up on
Sit
me.
down.
Make me sit down.
Sit down.
Make me sit
Get
down.
out of my face.
Are you crazy,
Whoa.
little boy?
Are you crazy because you yelling at a little boy? Are you done?
But you're yelling at everybody on the bus.
You crazy? You can't just be yelling at everybody. What's wrong with you?
None your business. That's what's wrong with you. None your business.
Yeah.
Down.
You need to ride the short bus to school.
Amen.
That's what you need to do. The short bus.
See, this is the parent. Parents think that they can argue with their selfish kids. If you don't know this, yet kids are selfish, right? Whatever they do it for their own pleasure, right? If it doesn't benefit them, they won't do it. So it's up to you to tell them, to make sure they do it. And this shouldn't be like a back and forth here. It should be like, hey, I told you this. You be quiet and do it whether you like it or not. Oh, but what about the child's feeling healed? No. No. That's a child. You are an adult. You know better. So yeah. I really don't know what to say. I I get upset when I see these types of videos. Why are kids talking to their parents like that? I would in public nonetheless, I would never talk to my mother like that. In public. It's crazy. Oh, my wife informed me she doesn't think that it's his mom. But either way, you don't talk to adults that way. At all. Period. And you teach your child that. If you do, bad things will happen to you. As simple as that. So we're going to watch a video now of a parent trying to teach her disrespectful son a lesson. Let's see how this goes.
And it's his modded Xbox. And I've decided it's going to go bye-bye today. I'm going to smash this Xbox and maybe teach him a little lesson. If he doesn't start doing his chores, Logan, I'm talking to you. Your computer's going to be next.
Yeah.
So here goes.
Ooh.
And then he's going to take a sledgehammer.
Take this.
What are you?
Okay, there's the kid.
Don't do that. That costs a lot of money.
Whose money?
Don't. No, you no.
Oh.
Sorry, don't do that. No, stop. 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 No, that costs a lot of money. Sorry, you gotta start doing your chores. It's rude.
Oh, that's sweet.
Stop. You're insane.
Ooh. Oh, all right. Okay. First of all, this shouldn't be a funny thing to parents because it kind of seems like they're just enjoying themselves doing this. Well, maybe the kid has been giving the parent a lot of trouble, so it feels like get back right now. It's get back time. But yeah, I don't think it should have gotten this far to begin with. Parents should have, in the first place, not have allowed the situation to get that worse. You see, this the issue here. We give our kids screen time, TV, Xbox boxes, computers, all of these things. We give it to them because we do not want to give our own personal attention to these kids, and they are consumed by these things. It becomes a massive part of their lives, and you are just not a massive part of their lives. You allowed them to play these games. You allowed them to watch all these cartoons. So when you call your kid to eat some breakfast or lunch at the table, it's very tough situation because this is kind of what we've trained our kids to do. Let's watch our last video.
What's something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud? What's something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud?
All right, so it says here, most of the behavior problems we have in schools would be solved if parents would actually parent instead of trying to be their child's friend. Yeah. A lot of parents saying lately that my child is my best friend. And we're like buddies. We do everything together. And so I think a lot of the disrespect stems from that. I am no psychologist, but yeah. I just never felt that way. I loved my mother, and I was friendly, and my mother was friendly towards me, but I just always knew that she was not my friend. She meant the world to me, and yeah, we were okay. There were clear boundaries, so I knew that when my mother spoke, I need to be, I need to listen or be quiet, and follow through, right? Um, yeah. Anyway, people, when it comes to raising our kids, you have to really think long term. A lot of people don't want to think about this, but you're going to have to actually think to yourself, is what I'm doing beneficial to my child's future? If I allow my child to do whatever he wants to, so we can actually look forward into the future by looking at the mistakes other people are making. And then we don't have to make those mistakes. There's so much information, so much lesson studies that we can, not lesson studies, what do we call them? So many experiences of other people that we can actually learn from, and we don't have to make these mistakes. Raise your child the right way. Spend time with your child every single day. All right? Make sure that your child knows that you are interested at what's happening in his personal life, in his or her studies at school. The Bible says that we need to train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is older, he will not depart from it. Now, we, as parents, we're our child's first teacher, right? And so the education that we give them is the most important education. Don't hand over your responsibilities to someone else. Don't blame someone else when it comes to your child's behavior. All right? The choices that you are making are what's influencing who your child is becoming today. Right? So take control of that aspect of your child's life. A lot of us are just trying to do our best. So do your best. Do everything in your power. Your kids are important, right? Their future is important. And if we raise kids the way these kids are being raised right now, I fear for our societies and the communities that we will be living in. It's going to be a chaotic. Imagine you have all these entitled adults walking around up in these streets. Do your best so your child can become a functioning member of society. Take responsibility. Be your child's first teacher in everything. If you agreed with anything that I've said here today, please leave a comment below. If you were shocked by anything in today's video, let us know. If you like this video, press like. If you didn't like this video, dislike the video. And if you made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Take care and God bless you.